Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Coffee with a Career Coach. This is our second installment of the series, and we hope to be doing these very often. We are really excited to be with you today. Obviously, you kind of saw me the last time, but we have a new face with Eric, who is also an assistant director in our office, and I'll give him the chance to introduce himself in a minute. I hope you all have your coffee. I know I do in my little llama mug that some interns got me a couple of years ago, and I love it. Eric's got his, it looks like, too.
Mm-hmm.
In the comments, if you want to type in how you like your coffee, I have a little bit of creamer in mine, but not a whole lot of flavor. I'm not a sweet coffee drinker. So I'll let Eric share how he likes his coffee and then his name as well and a little background.
Thanks, Erica. My name is Eric Davis, and I'll start with how I like my coffee. I am almost embarrassed by how much cream and sugar I put in my coffee. Okay, like I'm one of those people where it's almost milk. So today I'm drinking coffee with my favorite kind of creamer, and that's the Cold Stone Sweet Cream. Right. Um, a little bit about me. I'm a career coach in the Career Development Center, and my specific role, I work with the College of Health Professions and the College of Science and Engineering. I used to work with the College of Business, so if there are any business students tuning in, you may have met with me in the past. That means that I meet with students from those colleges and I present to those colleges, attend events, and I also manage the REACH Career Peer Advising Program, which is our walk-in resume review service. A little bit about my background. I've been in higher education for about 6.5 years now, in a few different departments across a couple different universities, but all in student services. I started my career in admissions, and then I went to academic advising before coming over here to CMU to work in career development. So whether I was working with high school students, helping them get to college, working with college students on what classes to sign up for, or now working with college students on how to start their career, my career has always been about helping students reach their next step. That's what I'm passionate about. And now I'm fortunate to be able to help students find their passion.
Awesome. And obviously, I haven't had very much of my coffee yet today because I didn't really go into detail about myself at all. So, like I said, my name is Erica O'Toole. I'm also an assistant director in the office, and I work with the College of Education and Human Services as well as our global campus students. So, I supervise our First Impressions program, which is where we give free professional clothing to students. Great program. You should all take advantage of that. And I also supervise our outreach program where we do presentations. So my background is in apparel merchandising, totally different than what I do now. But I got into higher education about 7 years ago, doing some teaching for CMU online and in person. And now in the Career Development Center for 5 years and found my passion, absolutely love this. And along those same lines, today we're going to talk about career development. So we're going to discuss, how can you find that passion, those interests, those values that you have, and align those then with a major and then a career. So Eric's going to go ahead and get us started with a question. During this time, please ask as many questions as you'd like. We are watching the feed live. So we're happy to answer any questions you have. Feel free to kind of interrupt us as we go. But we did prepare some questions we thought might be kind of common across all of you. So Eric, go ahead and get us started.
Thanks, Erica. So I have a couple of questions for you first. So let's start with, how early should someone meet with a career coach from the Career Development Center to discuss their major?
Yeah, so I always say as soon as possible. So if you're watching this and you're maybe an incoming freshman, or even if you're, throughout your college career, now's the time to start. So I don't think you can ever really come in too early, even if you know exactly what your major is. You might not know exactly what position you want to look for or what's really your options out there as well. So, getting started early on with the Career Development Center can definitely help with picking your major, and then down the line, maybe not being as unsure or changing majors as much because you've kind of put in the work ahead of time.
Thanks, Erica. So when it comes to scheduling an appointment with someone from the Career Development Center, what does an appointment discussing career development look like?
Yeah. So obviously it looks a little different right now. We're all at our houses, still going virtual with all of you. So basically when you work with a career coach, couple different things. Typically we start out with a basic conversation, right? So I need to kind of get to know you before I can really help you look at what are the options out there for you. So we'll talk about things like, what are you interested in? What are your hobbies, maybe, because that can play a part as well. What do you typically enjoy doing? What have you enjoyed in the past? Just kind of getting some background about all of that. This is always an ongoing discussion. So one of the things I might suggest, and we'll talk about these in a minute, is doing a career assessment. So we offer multiple career assessments that we can then interpret, sit down with you, and kind of go through, what are these questions coming out with for your own interests? So that could be one route that we go. We could also just kind of, if you come in and you say, all right, I know that I want to go into something in the College of Business, but I don't know what. So maybe then we start looking at all the different majors within the College of Business. And depending on how you work best, maybe we kind of start going through doing some research. You're going to have some homework too. And then typically we'll do follow-up appointments with you as well. So we can continue to touch base and really start this whole process with you. All right. So those are some great questions, Eric. I have one for you now.
All right.
Okay. So how do I know what I should major in?
That is a good question. Let me first start by reiterating something that Erica just said, that this is an ongoing discussion. All right. I always say career decision making is a process. Just in the brief, moments that Erica and I took to introduce ourselves, you kind of got a little taste of what our process looked like. Erica talked about how she, was all set and started her career in fashion and apparel merchandising, and now she's a career coach. I didn't say this, but I will now. I spent the first 3 years of my undergrad planning to go to law school. The whole time getting involved on campus, getting an internship on campus, becoming a tour guide, and really immersing myself in the college experience while also doing things on campus that helped other students. So I found my passion outside of the classroom, and I loved the classes that I took, but it took a lot more than just a few classes for me to find my passion. So it's a process that takes several conversations with career coaches. Some of the resources that we have, in addition to the career coaching techniques that we're trained in, we also have a few different career assessments, including a way to, which is a free assessment, the MBTI, and the strong interest inventory that we can go over with you. We have several resources on our website and on Handshake, which I think we're going to go into a little more detail later, so I don't want to get too into the weeds on all the resources that we have. Intro classes, getting involved on campus, job shadowing. There are so many things you can do, and that's really what we're here for. All right. We're here to facilitate that for you and help you understand how to go about that process so that you can find what you want to major in, find what you want to go into a career for, and really find what you're passionate about.
Awesome.
All right. So, Erica, I just talked a little bit about career assessments, and Erica has been doing this for longer than me. She's certified in some career assessments, so she goes over these career assessments with a lot of students. All right. So let's pretend I'm a student. I took a career assessment. Now what?
Yeah. So it's different between all our career assessments. So like Eric mentioned, we have 3 main assessments. A way to is our free assessment. So regardless, I would definitely go in and take a way to. That one does come up with college majors and careers. And after the Facebook Live event today, I'll post that link within the comments so you guys can see it for all the different assessments that you could take. Now, strong interest inventory and the Myers-Briggs, which you might have heard of Myers-Briggs before, Myers-Briggs is a personality assessment, and then strong interest really goes over your basic theme codes, and then assigns majors, it assigns careers, but then it also goes more into detail about like work interests and things like that. So MBTI and Strong do have a charge associated with them, and that's because we have a cost as well. So we basically charge you our cost. So it's very inexpensive to take it at the college level. You know, if you were to go out into the career field and wanted to take one of these assessments later, it is quite a bit more expensive. So our charge is around $16 a piece. And then both of those you will not receive the results for until you actually meet for an appointment with myself. So basically, because of the way that MBTI and Strong are set up, they really require a full interpretation. And that's mainly because we don't want you to get your strong interest back and it say that you should be a teacher. And then you think that this assessment has set your entire life and you should be a teacher, right? So maybe it said teacher, but that doesn't really interest you. So how can we then use the skills that you have in that teaching area? So maybe you have good leadership skills, communication, things like that. And then how can we apply that somewhere else? We a lot of times combine MBTI and Strong because personality can really correlate with these different values and interests, and then majors as well. So I like to combine the two and have a discussion from there. And those assessments, the interpretations typically take about an hour if you're going to do MBTI and Strong together. And I like to set up a follow-up, have you do some research based on what we talk about, and then we go from there and start discussing. So, it's not like, here's your report, this is what you should major in. It really is kind of something that helps facilitate the discussion.
Erica, before you ask me the next question that I know you have for me, I always tell students that when you take a career assessment, it is a piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole thing. It's a start of the conversation. It's not the end. Because I think a lot of students, and of course, when I was in college too, I'm sure I took career assessments, and I know I took one in high school too. And it always seemed like they give you your top 5 or top 10 careers, and I'd look at them and think, none of these interest me. Well, this didn't work. Okay. So even if you take a way to and you'll get your results right away, I highly recommend meeting with us. You really should, because it might tell you something about yourself that you hadn't thought of before. I know I met with a student recently who's an accounting major, and she was not really sure if that's what she wanted to do, took a career assessment and got some results. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I think it was like social worker, teacher, maybe. And she's like, I don't want to do any of that at all. Like, how is this helpful? And I thought, okay, I'm really sure if that's what she wanted to do. You know that you like accounting because you like math. Okay. This career assessment told you that either you like to, or you're good at, or maybe both, but you're good at and like to work with people. All right. Now, where can we go from here? Okay. So that's what I mean by it being a piece of the puzzle, and how meeting with us can kind of help with that. All right. So even if you take a way to and get your results right away, definitely meet with us to go over that. Erica, what question do you have for me?
Well, absolutely. I just want to reiterate that. I mean, that is so important. It is a piece of the puzzle. So, we never want you to think that you take these career assessments and then it's like a magic wand and you know your major, right? So definitely schedule with us. The discussion is what this is really all about. So, Eric, question for you. Obviously, we talked about assessments. I know we mentioned a couple other resources, but what other free resources are available to our students?
Great question. And what we're kind of getting into is our career coaching model here. So I want to mention that really quick. Our career coaching model, Erica, I can't remember. We haven't talked about this yet, have we?
We did in the last one a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Okay. So I thought maybe we did in a previous Coffee with a Career Coach. So our career coaching model is a triangle, and the base of the triangle is self. And when we talk about the assessments, you're getting to know yourself. All right. Now we take that information and move into these other resources that I want to talk about, so we can start to understand some of our options. And we have all kinds of free resources available to you either on our website, careers.cmich.edu, and you can find all of the resources just by clicking on the Students tab on the right-hand side of the page, or through Handshake, which you can get to Handshake also at that careers.cmich.edu website. Giant maroon button, you cannot miss it, and it says Handshake on it, and you log in with your global ID and password. Or you can go to cmich.joinhandshake.com. There's also an app for iOS and Android. Okay, and that's how you're going to access all of the resources we have. Handshake has a lot more. I'll put that out there. All right, but some of the resources that I want to go over, you can get to from both. Some great resources to start understanding different career options would be Bureau of Labor Statistics and ONET. Both of these are career databases that will tell you all kinds of things. Let's say you want to know more about being a teacher. You're going to be able to go onto either of those websites and find out the type of education level that's required, median pay based on different areas, working conditions, the types of skills and education and training necessary to be in that job. What's the job market look like for teachers or social workers, or career coaches, or whatever you want to look up. All right. Both of those, Bureau of Labor Statistics and ONET, will give you that type of information. Now, let's say you want to know a little bit more about what a career field is like, but you don't just want to read off a website. We also have a resource called Candid Career, which you can find in a lot of different places on our website, but probably the easiest is to go to our main homepage, careers.cmich.edu. There's a scrolling widget at the bottom of the page, and you click on that. Candid Career has thousands of videos where they've interviewed people in, I would say, any type of career field you can think of. And there's probably not just one, but several interviews where you can find out firsthand from someone what that career is like. Okay. Now, let's say you're not quite to the careers phase. Maybe you know what you want to major in, but you're not sure what you can do. We also have a website that we link to. We subscribe to this. It's free for you to access as long as you go through our website, and it's called What Can I Do With This Major? And it is exactly what you think a website called What Can I Do With This Major would be. Any major you can think of: psychology, electrical engineering, human resources, anything you can think of, public relations. All right, I'm just thinking of majors off the top of my head. It's going to tell you all these different kinds of areas, but not just what you can do with it, but strategies to get into that area as well. And it's super helpful, and it's one of the top tools that I recommend students use. All right, so we have all kinds of free resources for you to start to understand your options once you know yourself. All right. Now, I kind of led into this a little bit. Erica, I know you've got more to say.
So, yes, I do.
So
Always.
when it comes to, what if you do know your major and I'm not sure what to do with it? What are some of the things that I can use through the Career Development Center to help me find that out?
Yeah, definitely. And please feel free to ask questions. So I know I just posted a comment too. Any questions so far? Michelle, I see that you're here, so thank you for joining us. And we will post these sites that we're talking about within the chat, so no worries there. But with what can I do with this major? I know Eric kind of already talked about it a little bit, but
not ahead of myself, Erica.
A little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. We get excited about our resources. We're kind of a little bit nerdy with career development, but so with that site, I see a lot of students that come in and maybe they're in their junior year and they say, okay, well, I got a major in marketing, but I don't know what to do with it, right? And marketing is probably not the best example because it's a little bit of a more clear-cut example. But, there's majors out there where students pick them and then they just don't really know what to do with it. They just
psychology.
Perfect. Yeah. So, maybe you pick psychology, but you don't really have a career path in mind. It's not as straightforward as if you pick teaching and you're going to be a teacher. So what can I do with this major does show you your different options that are out there. And it doesn't just show options, it also shows you like different skill sets and things that you would do within in those positions. And then what I like is it also gives you like professional associations associated with that area of interest. And then it also gives you job boards that are specific to that area. So I really, really like What Can I Do With This Major? I think it's super, super helpful. The other thing that I want to touch on, and I think that this one also kind of goes with the next question, but that's okay. We're kind of bouncing off each other here.
Yeah.
Is the LinkedIn alumni tool. So if you're not familiar with that, in LinkedIn, there's a function where you can type in Central Michigan University in your search bar, and you click on the one with our logo, and then on the left-hand side, there'll be a little toolbar, and you'll click alumni or see alumni. From there, it's going to bring up over 130,000 alum, which is pretty amazing. You have those right at your fingertips. So within that, there's filters. So you can say, okay, I'm looking for an alumni that's in the New York area that studied psychology. You can look at what companies they're working at, and then you can actually see each of those people and what their career path was, what kind of job titles they held. You can reach out to them directly. You don't want to say, hey, I need a job, but instead saying something like, hey, I'm a CMU student, I'm majoring in this, and how did you kind of come to your current position, or how do you enjoy your current position, right? So that's how you start that researching aspect of career development. So I think those are probably the best two. The other one, ONET, I know Eric mentioned that, but that's really beneficial too. It gives you job titles that you can type right into your search engine. So that's a really great one too.
Erica, I want to answer Michelle's question really, really quick.
Yeah.
So the What Can I Do With This Major site, it's fantastic. Like I said, it's probably my favorite resource that I ever recommend for students. It is a website, just like Candid Career, that we pay a subscription to. So you do have to go through our website to get to it for free. All right. Erica, I think probably the quickest way is to go through our website, the homepage.
Yep.
Careers.cmish. And I'm going to explain. If you know a quicker way to get there, let me know. But you go to careers.cmish.edu. All right. Again, that was careers.cmish.edu. And on the right-hand side of the page, you can click on students. I mentioned that earlier. That's how you get to all of our resources. And then you're going to see our career coaching model there, self, options, and action. And underneath of the options menu item, I guess, underneath of the options heading, is where you're going to see the link to What Can I Do With This Major. Yeah. It's just a question mark logo. All the logos there are live links. So again, you go to our website, you click on students, and then underneath options, you click on the question mark logo. That's the What Can I Do With This Major site.
Yep. Right. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you can also click on that right-hand side. You can click appointments and resources.
Thanks, Shelby.
And that's another way to get to it.
Perfect. I think it's your turn to ask and my turn to
It is, isn't it? Okay. How's your coffee over there?
Coffee's great.
Good. How's everyone else's coffee? Let us know in the comments. Okay, so we've chosen a specific career field. How do I go about talking to somebody in that career field and really getting some ideas of what that career field entails?
Good question. So maybe we've found some career fields that we're interested in, either by taking an assessment or going to What Can I Do With This Major, or both. And now we're like, okay, what's it really like? We've looked at ONET, we've looked at Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's where, and I mentioned it, but I think I kind of put this in there because I want to reiterate it. Candid Career is where you can get that firsthand information on what a career field is really like. Okay. The way that Candid Career works is you can search by major, you can search by industry, you can search by job title. So however you want to find different majors, you can find some videos of people that are in the field you want to be in and find out what it's like in there. All right. Candid Career also, just as a side note, has a Get Hired section. So they have videos about careers, but they also have videos about how to obtain a job and how to get into career field. Anything from resume writing to how to navigate career fairs, even how to navigate online career fairs. All right. So Candid Career is really a great resource. And then the other thing that I always recommend students, if what can I do with my major is my favorite. Then the LinkedIn alumni search is my second favorite. I'd be happy for anyone that's interested, that wants to meet with us, to walk you exactly through how to use the LinkedIn alumni search. But essentially, you go to LinkedIn, all right? And if you don't have a LinkedIn, we can help you make one, all right? Search for Central Michigan University, and once you find the CMU page, you can click on alumni, and it brings up a database of every single person with CMU in their education section on LinkedIn. And that's where you can search through and find people by any sort of keyword. You can search by major. Another way to see what can I do with this major, see what people are actually doing with your major. Search psychology, filtered out by people who studied psychology at CMU, and see what they're doing, all right? I always recommend connecting. And when you connect with someone on LinkedIn, add a little message, all right? Make it personal. And you can just say, hey, I'm a CMU psychology student, and I noticed you're a CMU alumni of the psychology program. I want to know more about how you got into the field you're in, because you're in a position I might want to be in one day. All right. So there are many ways to find out firsthand, but those are probably my favorite two. Erica, I want to ask you, when should I start exploring careers?
Yeah. So very similar to that first question we kind of started out with, when should you visit the Career Development Center? You should also start exploring careers right away. So, picking your major isn't the end point here. We really want to look at what careers are out there with that major. And some easy ways to do that. First of all, your gen ed courses, that's kind of a part of what they're there for, is to start exploring what's out there and what you might like. Talking to faculty members, they're the experts within your area. So whenever you can get in and kind of talk through ideas with a faculty member, that's a great option as well. Obviously, if you're going to take courses to start exploring, you definitely want to talk that over with an advisor, an academic advisor. And regardless, you want to talk to an academic advisor. I want to be clear on that. But, when you get to this point, you want to make sure you're not just taking credits, right? That it's counting towards something. So even if you're taking some exploratory courses, work that out with your advisor to make sure it's really part of your process. And Eric, we have about 4 minutes left.
I'll be short. I'll be quick.
Exact. So first of all, I just want to see if we have any questions before we go to the next question I have for you.
I think we've had some answers.
Yeah. Thank you to all of our colleagues for joining in and answering our questions.
Shelby, Marissa, and Julia, thank you.
Yes, we appreciate it. Marissa, that latte sounds wonderful. Okay, so Eric, is it too late to change my major, and will I be behind if I do?
That's a really good question. I get this from students all the time when I was an academic advisor and now as a career coach. I hear this idea a lot where students think if they change their major, especially if you're a junior or a senior, am I going to be behind? And usually I'll kind of rhetorically ask students, who they think they're behind. Because in my opinion, personally, by being in college, you're already ahead, okay? And it's really important to understand how often people change their mind, because at least a third of college students change their major at least once, okay? I've seen all kinds of statistics. That one's from a pretty reliable source, the National Center for Education Statistics, but at least a third of college students change their major at least once while in college, and like 10%, I think, change their major 2 or 3 times or more. Adults change their career 6 to 8 times in their lifetime, all right? Not just jobs, but whole careers. So people change their major often. It's okay to change your mind. And I always tell students, to me, I would much rather have you on a path that's going somewhere you want to go, even if that's a little bit longer, than be on a short path leading to a destination you don't want to end up, all right? You've got your whole career ahead of you. And if you change your major in college, it takes a little bit longer. At least you'll be where you want to be.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's a wonderful answer. Those of you who are afraid to change your major because you're, afraid to be behind, just think about if you don't change your major and you get done and then you wish you would have, right? We don't want to have that either. So that was a great answer, Eric.
And if you do that, we work with alumni as well.
Absolutely.
So when it's time for a career change, come back to us.
Yep. And really, you define your major. Your major doesn't define you. And I like to make that clear to students because, I mean, look at my major, right? I loved my program. My intentions were to go into that. And I'm still using those skills with first impressions. But, you know, I always kind of think about that too. I'm defining my own major. I'm marketing myself on my resume. So that's another way to also kind of look at that whole aspect. So we are at around 10:59. I don't know how many seconds. I don't have that on my computer. But I think we will probably sign off here. But I have very much so enjoyed having coffee with you, Eric, and everyone who's been watching. And I hope you guys got some valuable information. Please feel free to reach out to either Eric or myself or any of our team. We have a great, great team in the Career Development Center. So feel free to schedule appointments with us, reach out via email, and I'll put my email in the comments, and Eric can do the same if he wants to. But you know, we're here for you. We know that this is a challenging and different time, but we are all here and ready to answer any questions you have. So
Eric, can you put my email address in the comments too?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I don't actually know how to do that.
That's okay. I will put them both in there.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for all of you for joining us. And for those of you who watch this recorded as well, we're here for you. Any final thoughts, Eric?
I'm just going to reiterate the last thing a couple of things I said. Career development is a process. We're here to help all through your undergraduate journey, any graduate students joining us, and alumni as well. Just meet with us.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
all
Eric.
right,
thanks, everyone.
You guys all have a wonderful day and wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye.